Therefore, these 10 demands are not demands for political favor. They are demands for justice, transparency, accountability, and responsible governance. So I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to raise this short duration motion, whereby we will address and make a submission on the 10 points charter of demands raised by the Voice of the People Party. So the first demand is scrap the Lompongding project, protect our land, people, and environment. So this is not simply a question of whether one project should be constructed or not. It is a fundamental question of who has the right to decide the future of Meghalaya's land and natural resources. So no development project should be imposed upon the people without meaningful consultation, transparency, and consideration of its social and environmental consequences. Land in Meghalaya is not merely an economic commodity, as I used to say, sir. For indigenous communities, land is identity, livelihood, inheritance, and a connection with generations yet to come. The government must therefore disclose the complete details of the project, its environmental implications, land requirements, rehabilitation measures, financial commitments, and the benefits that will actually accrue to the people. Which is why we demand for a white paper. We would also like to know whether the proposed hotel or project will be managed exclusively by the Taj Group or an individual. Because, sir, the talk is doing the round that an individual by the name of Badir Rai is actually the owner of the project. So I do not understand why the government is so beholden with this person. We have received information that he is doing a lot of works through backdoor and seems to be in every business. So I was told that even the development of multi-purpose event ground at Rongalgre, East Garu Hills, on the tourism department was being carried out by him without a proper valid work order. The government is also making effort to give him permission to set up a liquor factory at Mendipatar, and the land for this purpose has already been allotted. He is also carrying out construction work of Eklavia Model Residential Schools, EMRS, in some blocks. So we feel that the government cannot call it development when the people who own land are made to pay the price of that development. Our position is very clear, sir. Development must be people-centric, environmentally sustainable, and based on consent and transparency. Not secrecy, no coercion, or background transfer of control over land. Meghalaya land is not the government property to be distributed at will. It is the inheritance of its people and a responsibility to future generation. The second demand, sir, is stop harassment of teachers, respect experience, and withdraw anti-teachers policy. So teachers who have spent decades educating our children cannot be easily treated as though the entire service and experience have no value. If qualification requirements such as Meghalaya Teachers Eligibility Test or TET are applied retrospectively to long-serving teachers, the government must examine whether such implementations is fair and reasonable. particularly where teachers entered their service under the rules applicable at the time. There has to be a policy that combines quality and fairness. Training, upskilling, and professional development can improve standards without humiliating or unnecessarily destabilizing experienced teachers. So coming to the Meghalaya Private College Act 2025, we strongly feel that this act should likewise be examined with regard to the autonomy of institutions, the rights of teachers and students, and the stability of grant and aid institution. I know I may be asked, why do I ask this question now? Yes, so I somehow missed at a time when they introduced this bill last year. And after I have read the act, I found out that this act is not conducive and indeed detrimental to the growth of education in the state. So we also notice that the government is surreptitiously withdrawing UGC pay scale, which was introduced in the state after statehood. It has come to our notice that many posts sanctioned under UGC remain vacant across various colleges. However, the government has not yet advertised these vacancies. So efforts of the government to dilute the deficit system, which has greatly contributed to the good of education by attracting qualified people to the teaching profession. Therefore, we would also like to demand from the government to ensure that deficit system continues. We would also like to demand from the government, sir, to stop harassing teachers. For example, delay in the release of post-retirement benefits, sending teachers for election and census-related duties. And these duties, sir, can be recruited by many unemployed youths in the state. So, a government that cannot respect the teachers who built our education system cannot claim that it is building the future of our children. And demand number 3, sir, is to ensure clean recruitment, make DSC and MPSC truly independent. So, employment is one of the most sensitive issues facing the youth of Meghalaya. When a young person believes that recruitment depends upon political connections rather than merit, the credibility of the entire government suffers. The Meghalaya Public Service Commission and district selection committees must function with complete independence, transparency, and accountability. So therefore, we would demand from the government to immediately remove people with party affiliation to ensure fairness in the recruitment process. Because we know that there are many members in these committees and even in the commission who have party affiliation. Secondly, sir, we would like to demand from the government to constitute a search committee for the appointment of members of MPSC. The government should also create confidential section in order to ensure confidentiality of these interviewing bodies. And it will also facilitate the government in the wake of any malpractices or corruption to fix the responsibility. So, we would also like to demand the protection of recruitment bodies from political interference, transparent recruitment procedure, publication of clear eligibility criteria. Another demand is disclosure of marks and selection criteria wherever legally permissible. Strong safeguards against conflict of interest. Strict action also should be taken against bribery and manipulation, and the timely completion of recruitment. So we feel that the government must create an atmosphere, a situation where a young person can say, I may not know a minister, an MLA, or officer, but if I work hard, I have a fair chance to pass the examination. So that is what equality means in practice. So we have a case in point where malpractice and favoritism were found in the recent examination conducted by West Giant Hills District, DSC. We have with us the proof that what we were claiming is not an attempt to defame the government, but actually it was based on facts. We had brought this matter to the notice of the government through the Chief Secretary, sir. However, to our surprise, we received no positive response. And the letter that we have written to the Chief Secretary is on the 29th June 2026. But sir, we received no positive response from the government till today. Perhaps the government would like to bury this issue for political convenience. We therefore strongly demand, sir, from the government to cancel the entire examination process and immediately constitute an inquiry. And here is the proof, sir. We managed somehow to get this valid proof where there are some roll number 14370, roll number 14406, and roll number 14447. And you'll find that in this OMR, this roll number 14370, the answer is only 4 out of 50. And another candidate, roll number 14406, his answer is only 6 in this OMR sheet, sir. And roll number 1447, his answer is only 3 out of 50. And these 3 candidates managed to appear for the examination, the personal interview. We were told that these are the candidates, the supporters of some of the politicians. So therefore, sir, we feel that this is a fit case for the government to cancel this entire examination and constitute an inquiry and immediately investigate into the matter and fix the responsibility accordingly. Sir, the demand number 4, stop job extension to retired employees. Give youth their rightful opportunity. This issue is not about disrespecting experienced officer. It is about ensuring generational fairness of public employment. When retired employees are repeatedly given extensions or re-engaged in positions that could otherwise be open to eligible candidates, thousands of qualified young people may feel that the doors of government employment are permanently closed to them. The government should therefore establish clear and transparent criteria for any extension or re-employment after recruitment. After retirement, I mean to say so. Such arrangements should be based on genuine necessity, specialized expertise, and public interest, rather than convenience or personal preference. So at a time when educated youths are waiting for employment opportunities, government must demonstrate that public service is not an exclusive reserve for a small circle. Retirement should not mean the end of contribution, neither should it mean the beginning of permanent occupation of opportunities meant for the next generation. Another serious issue that I would like to bring, which relate to employment, is the continuous irregular payment of salary to home guards, casual employees, muster roll in different departments, and even in same secretariat. I was also informed that there's no attempt to regularize the casual employees in MEECL, though they have served more than 20 years. And even in social welfare department, many employees are facing the same problem for non-regularization, though they were appointed against a sanctioned post for more than 17 to 18 years of service. So what kind of employment is this? This is the result of the failure of the government to have a transparent and a robust recruitment process. So another demand is about the protection of public land, stop backdoor sale, leasing, and illegal acquisition. Land is perhaps the most sensitive issue in Meghalaya. Any alleged transfer, leasing, acquisition, or alienation of public land must be subject to law, transparency, and public accountability. There must be no mechanism by which public land can quietly move into private or corporate control. The government must ensure proper land records, transparent procedures, lawful acquisition and leasing, protection of community interests, strict action against illegal occupation, and compliance with the constitutional and statutory frameworks applicable to Meghalaya, including the role and powers of the Autonomous District Council. When the KHADC issued a notification whereby preventing a headman and the executive committee that they should not give NOC for leasing a land unilaterally without the consent of the Dawa. There has been a serious attempt to misinform the people, mislead the people as if the Voice of the People Party is against this institution. However, sir, that is not the case. We want to ensure that community land should be protected, and if a community wants to dispose that land or lease out that land, members of the community in that locality or in that village should be taken into consideration. So if land belongs to the public or is protected under the applicable customary and legal framework, who gave anyone the authority to dispose of it behind the people's back? I remember when we debated in this August House at the time when they introduced this investment bill, which has become an act. So I raised an amendment demanding from the government to withdraw that provision, where in that provision it was mentioned for the creation of land banks. And the government ultimately accepted and withdrawn the provision for the creation of land banks. However, sir, it is very sad to say that the withdrawal of this creation of land bank from this act is only to be created through backdoor. Everywhere you will go, you will be informed that some individuals, they are busy finding huge tracts of land to buy, which they will ultimately sell to the government. So this is a very serious issue, sir, which we feel that such practice should be stopped, and in case of any requirement for land development or for any project, the people of those villages or locality should be taken into consideration. Development cannot become an excuse for land alienation, sir. We know that once land is lost, money cannot buy it back. And once community rights are surrendered, generation may pay the price. So, number 6, secure Meghalaya, stop illegal influx, and protect border communities. Why we decide to raise this issue? Because we know that there is an ongoing influx in the border areas, especially in the West Khas Hills district. So border security is not merely a national security issue. It also a question of livelihood, demographic stability, law and order, and protection of vulnerable border communities. The government, therefore, must strengthen border management through better coordination between the state administration, police, border agencies, and the union government. There should be effective border surveillance proper documentation and verification, stronger intelligence gathering, protection of vulnerable border areas of villages, better infrastructure and border communities, and firm action against trafficking, smuggling, and other illegal activities. The objective should be to identify persons who are unlawfully entering or residing in the border areas. Border communities should not be left to carry the burden of an issue that requires coordinated action by the entire state machinery. So another demand is to stop coke and cement plant to protect environment and public health. So Meghalaya cannot sacrifice its forests, rivers, agricultural land, and public health in the name of industrialization. The question is not whether Meghalaya needs economic development. Of course, it does. The question is what kind of development we are willing to accept. Industries must comply with environmental laws, pollution control requirements, land use conditions, and public health safeguards. Existing illegal or non-compliant plants must face appropriate enforcement action. The government should also conduct rigorous monitoring of air pollution, water contamination, dust and particles emission, impact on agricultural land, forests, and biodiversity, health impact on nearby communities, and compliance with environmental clearance. We must reject the false choice between environment and development. The real choice is between responsible development and destructive development. So therefore we demand from the government that the government should cancel the public hearing conducted at Loom Sermon for establishing Shri Cement, because it was not done in a democratic and transparent manner. We fail to understand why the government is so hell-bent to facilitate Shri Cement to set up its plant. This government, with due respect, has been known as a government that promotes outsiders. So a factory can be rebuilt, a poisoned river, destroyed forest, and damaged public health cannot be easily restored. And the demand number 8, sir, is to detect and deport illegal immigrants, establish a transparent and time-bound process. So as we are aware of the fact that foreigners' issue has taken place since the year 1979. However, it is very disappointing to know that the government did nothing to deal with this problem seriously. The government of Assam, after the Assam protests, had signed an accord with political parties and students' organization, and that accord is known as the Assam Accord 1985, where 1971 was declared as a cut-off year for any foreigners who reside in the territory of Assam. The official record in Assam Assembly and in Lok Sabha indicated the estimate of foreigners, which shows that the estimate of foreigners increasing consistently from 33 lakhs in 1993 to 40 lakhs in 1997. 30 lakhs in 1993 to 40 lakhs in 1997, to 50 lakhs in 2001, and to 80 lakhs in 2016. As per the statement of one writer from Assam in his book named NRC, Turning Hope into Despair, I quote, sir, "There is not a single indigenous Muslim MLA in the Assam Assembly with a strength of 126 MLAs at present. In 2001, Assembly election, 31 Muslim MLAs were elected, none of whom belong to indigenous Muslim communities." It shows that the government of Assam knows the figure of these foreigners that are there in the state of Assam. In contrast, Meghalaya did nothing in this connection. Lately, what happened? What are the steps we would like to know taken by the state government in the wake of severe military crackdown in Myanmar in August 2017, which led to the mass exodus of Rohingyas, where around 7 lakhs Rohingyas fled to Bangladesh and thousands to India. Also, after the Manipur crisis, which led to the moving away of Manipuri residents from Manipur to neighboring states, which I'm sure they must have entered and perhaps assimilated even into our state. I understand that during the crisis, we cannot say no on humanitarian ground. But the question is, do we have a proper record about the number of people who came to Meghalaya for shelter? The government, sir, should establish an effective system to identify persons who are unlawfully residing in Meghalaya, verify their status through lawful procedures, and take appropriate action in accordance with applicable law. The problem should not be allowed to continue indefinitely through administrative inaction. A credible mechanism should include proper verification of identity and nationality, coordination with relevant central authorities, identification of vulnerable border areas, action against persons facilitating illegal entry. We have seen in media reports, there are some people who facilitate the entry of foreigners into the state by paying them 10,000, 15,000. So therefore, sir, action should be taken against those people and appropriate legal proceeding before removal or deportation where required. The government must distinguish between legitimate residents, citizens, migrants with lawful status, and persons who have entered or remain unlawfully. The demand is therefore not for arbitrary action, it is for effective enforcement of the law. So, the demand number 9 is to lift the ban on coal mining, ensure equal opportunity under the law. Coal mining is one of the most contentious issues in Meghalaya because it involves a difficult balance between livelihood, traditional practices, environmental protection, and the rule of law. Small landowners and local communities should not be permanently excluded from economic opportunities, while only financially powerful entities are capable of navigating complicated regulatory procedures. The government should explore whether lawful mining can be enabled through transparent licensing, scientific mining practices, environmental safeguards, mines reclamation, worker safety, proper royalty, transparent licensing, scientific mining practices, environmental safeguards, mines reclamation, worker safety, proper royalty and revenue mechanism, community benefit sharing, and strict enforcement against illegal mining. We understand that if mining is permitted, it must be permitted legally, scientifically, and responsibly, not through illegal extraction and not through monopolistic control. We are not demanding for an unregulated and unrestricted gold mining. We are demanding a lawful framework in which the small miner is not crushed by the system while the powerful find a way around it. And number 10, sir, the demand is to lift the ban on stone and sand mining, protect livelihoods through sustainable regulation. Stone and sand are essential to construction and infrastructure. A blanket restriction, if not accompanied by a workable legal alternative, can create serious consequences for workers, transporters, contractors, local communities, and consumers. But environmental protection cannot be ignored either. The solution should therefore be regulated and sustainable extraction rather than either complete prohibition or unrestricted exploitation. The government should identify scientifically suitable mining areas, establish carrying capacity limits, regulate extraction, prevent mining in ecologically sensitive zones, and ensure restoration of degraded areas. There must also be strict action against illegal extraction and transportation. The objective should not be to create a system where people can earn. The objective should be to create a system where people can earn a livelihood, government can collect legitimate revenue, construction can continue, and the environment remains protected. The choice is not between livelihood and environment. The responsibility of the government is to protect both. So these 10 demands are not 10 isolated political slogans. They represent 10 tests of governance. They test whether the government will protect our land, respect our teachers, give our youth a fair chance, protect public property, secure our borders, safeguard our environment, enforce the law, and protect the livelihood of our people. We are not opposed to development. We are opposed to development without accountability. We are not opposed to industry. We are opposed to industry that destroys our environment and compromises public health. We are not opposed to mining. We are opposed to illegal and unregulated mining. We are not opposed to investment. We are opposed to investment that comes at the cost of the rights of our people. The government must understand one fundamental truth. Meghalaya is not only a territory to be administered, but a homeland to be protected. Our land is not for sale. Our environment is not expendable. Our youth cannot be kept waiting. Our teachers cannot be humiliated. Our recruitment system cannot be compromised. Our borders cannot be ignored. And the law cannot be selectively applied. Therefore, these 10 demands are not demands for political favor. They are demands for justice, transparency, accountability, and responsible governance. Let the government choose its side, the side of opacity and privilege, or the side of the people of Meghalaya. So with these few words, sir, I would once again thank you for giving me this opportunity to raise these 10 points, Charter of Demand of the Voice of the People Party. Thank you, sir.